guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you an unboxing plus on-feet video of the brand new Adidas Predator Absolion Instinct. Now inside the box, all you get are the shoes themselves. They do not come with any extras. I'll get these out of the box really quickly. And if you guys could take a second to leave a like on the video, it would be greatly appreciated. So here is a look at the Absolion Instinct from Adidas. This is the first takedown model in the new Predator lineup. The top-end Predator Instinct has a retail price of $220, whereas the first takedown Absolion model, which is what I have right here, retails for $120. So it's $100 less than that top-end model. What are you getting? What are you missing out on? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. But just based on first impressions, it doesn't seem like you're missing out on a lot. Starting off with the colorway, I think that everybody has already made up their mind on the whole battle pack theme. Some people love it, some people hate it, but I guess in comparison to the top-end Instinct model, the Absolion visually is actually quite similar, and it'd be difficult to tell the two apart from a distance. Now it features that same black base with the little shiny detailing there on the inside, your white graphic going across the entire upper, your orange Adidas stripes on both the lateral and medial side. One difference visually is that the medial side does not actually feature a gel pad, which is something we'll talk about a little bit later in the video. So visually it's a little bit different there. You can see on the back, instead of saying Predator, it says Absolion, obviously to let you know what model this is. It still features the same pattern in the heel liner, pretty much the exact same insole. The tongue is a slightly different material, but that doesn't really change the visuals of the shoe. And then the laces are a little bit chunkier as well, but again, that's not something most people are going to notice. Your Predator elements are translucent in color. And then moving on to the sole plate, just looking around the rim, again, it's very, very similar. You have that white with the texturing there, which I personally think looks really cool. And then at the very bottom, to me, this is the biggest difference, where you can see it's completely black, as opposed to carrying that battle pack pattern across the entire bottom with kind of a translucent covering. So again, that's the biggest visual difference between the Absolion and the top-end Instinct model. But for the most part, visually, they are very, very similar to each other. Starting off with the upper, to me what I noticed the biggest difference between the Absolion and the top-end Instinct is that the Absolion doesn't carry that same premium vibe that you would get from the top-end model. But with that being said, this does not feel like your standard run-of-the-mill cheap takedown model from Adidas. I'm actually pretty happy with the overall quality considering the $100 less price tag that the Absolion has to offer. Now as far as the main portion of the upper is concerned, it's made from an unnamed synthetic leather material, and for the most part it's relatively soft. You can see that the thickness is a little bit thicker than what you're going to find from the Hybrid Touch found on the top-end Predator Instinct, and it's not as seamless an implementation of a full synthetic upper. You can see you have an extra stitch right here that would not be present on the top-end Instinct, and then another stitch right there which is present on the top-end Instinct model. So again, it feels pretty good from right out of the box. It doesn't feel cheap by any means, and again, I'm fairly happy with it as far as takedown synthetics are concerned. The tongue, on the other hand, is not really the greatest. It features that same synthetic material with a fairly clunky liner on the inside. Again, they just wanted to kind of make something that I guess was slightly different from that top-end Predator model. It doesn't have that Velcro feature on the underside, which is not a big deal. And again, it just doesn't feel as premium as the top-end Instinct. As I mentioned, the laces are a little bit chunkier, which isn't really going to have much of an impact on the overall performance, if any at all. The same off-center lacing system. And then as far as the Predator elements are concerned, the lethal zones, I should say, they are pretty much the exact same shape. They're a very similar material. For whatever reason, to me at least, I feel like the rubber itself is a little bit harder on the Absolion as opposed to the Instinct, where the rubber feels slightly softer, more abrasive, and even slightly taller. So I feel like the elements are a tad more aggressive on the top-end Instinct, but that's not something that is kind of proven fact. That's just something that, I don't know, I kind of have it in my head, and I've been kind of looking at the two shoes for the last 20 minutes or so, and I can't seem to justify that they are exactly the same. There is somewhat of a difference here, but in terms of how big of an impact that's going to have on the overall performance, that has yet to be seen. So again, you have that lethal zone right here on the outside of the shoe, one right here kind of on the forefoot toe area, one right here in the sweet spot area like we saw on the LZ1 and 2, and then your main striking zone right here, which goes right to the base of the forefoot here on the medial side. Again, another thing that has been stripped away from the Absolion coming from that top end model is that you do not have that gel pad. What they have maintained is that same type of texturing. So they've actually punched out this area of the upper, and there does actually appear to be some kind of a foam on the inside. So it's kind of a similar thing to what we found on the original LZ model. I know, honestly, if you guys watched my playtest video of the top end Predator Instinct, you probably heard me mention that the gel pad on the inside really doesn't feel noticeable, doesn't make any kind of major impact on the overall touch or performance of the shoe. And I expect that to be the exact same case here with the Absolion, but again, it's not gel. It appears to be kind of a fairly soft foam here on the inside with those little indentations in the upper. You have that same internal heel counter, and then of course the same kind of Predator cut in the heel. It feels very similar on feet, but again, that's something we're going to mention later in the video. And as far as the insole is concerned, again, it's pretty much the exact same insole that you're going to find on that top end Predator model. Mesh liner on top, one solid piece of black foam, and again, it's pretty much the exact same feel. Visually, the sole plate and stud pattern is similar to that of the Instinct, but in terms of how it feels, it's pretty much identical. Again, like I mentioned, it doesn't have that same premium finish that you're going to find on the top end model, but it does have that same kind of white outline with the extra texturing there, which gives it a nice, mean, aggressive look. And the stud pattern layout, as you can see, is also identical. So you have your triangular studs in the heel, 4 in total, and then of course your 6 triangular studs in the forefoot with 1 support stud right there in the middle. As far as the plastic is concerned, it appears to be made from the same flexible, slightly thicker than average TPU plastic material. And again, it just feels very, very similar to that of the top end Instincts model. So in terms of performance, in terms of the feel underfoot, as far as traction is concerned, I would expect the performance overall to be very, very similar. So overall, that's pretty much it as far as all the tech specs are concerned. And move on next to a quick weigh-in so you can see how lightweight these guys are. Since the construction of the shoe is so similar to the top end Instinct, it shouldn't be much of a surprise that they weigh almost exactly the same as well. So I'm going to weigh this pair for you today in real time. Keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9 US. I'm going to throw it on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 9.9 ounces. So I believe the top end one in the same size when I weighed it was 9.8 ounces. So again, it's pretty much identical in terms of weight. Coming from the LZ2 or even the original LZ, which the top end model featured a sprint frame made for a nice lightweight feel. This is a bit of a kind of change of pace for the Predator series, something that some people are going to love, some people are not going to like it so much. But if you're looking for a more solid Predator that we haven't had in the last couple of years, I think that the new Instinct lineup of Predators is definitely going to provide that for you, and I'm personally happy with this particular weight range. So that's pretty much it as far as the weigh-in portion of this video is concerned, and move on next to a quick on feet so you can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit, and of course what the sizing is like. Alright, here's a look at the Absolion Instincts on feet, and honestly from right out of the box they feel pretty good. The general shape of the shoe is pretty much right on par with that top end Instinct model. Again, like I mentioned, the major differences here is going to be the upper, which does feel a little bit thicker, more clunky than what you're going to get from the top end Instinct. And of course that tongue, which is on the thicker side, and to me just feels a little bit bulky in comparison to the thin tongue found on the higher end Instinct model. But other than that, the shoe feels very similar. It's pretty comfortable from right out of the box. The sole plate's relatively flexible, the upper is relatively soft, and it really doesn't seem like there's going to be much break-in time required with this particular shoe, which is definitely a good thing. In terms of width, it's not a narrow shoe, it's not a super wide shoe, it's kind of right in the middle, and I would say it's going to be suitable for most foot types. Just keep in mind that the forefoot area, because you have the rubber that goes right to the base of the sole, that area of the shoe is not going to stretch. It'll soften up significantly, but it's not going to give in this area of the shoe. It's a similar thing to what you're going to find on the Nitro Charge 1.0 from Adidas with the elastic energy sling kind of running through the lacing system right to the base of the sole plate. So again, not going to get much stretch out of this area, but as long as you don't have excessively wide feet, again, the Absolion should fit you quite comfortably. As far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing my usual size 9 US, just like I wore in the Instinct, and the Absolions fit absolutely perfect. So if you're looking to order a pair of these, I would strongly recommend going true to size. Alright guys, that's it for my unboxing of the Adidas Predator Absolion Instinct. This is one of those shoes that actually is pretty good for a takedown model. If you really were into getting a brand new pair of Instincts but didn't necessarily have the money for that top end model, I really do feel that at $120 the Absolion is a good alternative, and it features most of the same elements as that top end Instinct shoe. So again, you're not missing out on a lot with this takedown model, and as far as Adidas takedowns go, these are actually pretty good, which is nice to see. It's good to see that Adidas is finally improving their takedowns and not necessarily raising the prices either. So again, definitely a shoe that I can recommend if you are on a bit of a budget but want something from the new Predator lineup. As far as my full review is concerned, guys, going to be working on that over the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, if you guys do want to check out the review page, it is linked down below. On that review page, you will find the high quality images of this shoe just to give you a better idea as to how they actually do look in person, and you'll also find buy it now links with the best prices online, including exclusive SR4U coupon codes, allowing you to pick these up at a slightly discounted price. So be sure to go ahead and check that out. If you have any questions or suggestions, be sure to leave your comments down below, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all of my social media information down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.